Welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Nick Cortez. Well, it's Friday, and it's time once again to take a look back at another week of discussion and insight on our daily talk show, Barnstable This Morning. We begin this week with a portion of our Wednesday, March 10th interview with Cape Cod Hospital oncologist David Lovett. I asked Dr. Lovett about the American Cancer Society's recent decision to make a substantial change to its guidelines for prostate cancer screening, a topic that has sparked some controversy in the medical community. A week or so ago, the American Cancer Society had released brand new screening guidelines for prostate cancer, and folks out there watching might have seen this on the news. There were some news stories on this a couple of weeks ago, and just for people who hadn't heard it, the society says that men should get tested annually if their level of prostate-specific antigen, or PSA, is at a certain level. Now, men below that certain level, the Cancer Society is recommending that they get tested only every other year, which I believe is a departure from the fairly long-standing thought that every man over about 50 or so should get screened every year. Could you explain the rationale for us behind this decision and what your perspective on it is?
Right. This is a very controversial area of oncology. All screening is controversial, but prostate cancer screening is extremely controversial. The problem is that prostate cancer runs the gamut in terms of its aggressiveness. In younger patients, prostate cancer tends to be rather aggressive. In older patients, prostate cancer can actually be what we call very indolent, meaning slow-growing, slow to take flight, so to speak. And therefore, screening in older individuals with a lowish PSA can actually do more harm than good, because what ends up happening is you take a PSA value that may mean nothing in, say, an 80-year-old, and put this person through a lot of biopsies, tests, etc., when in reality that person's prostate cancer may never come to bother them. So it is said that there was an old autopsy series that looked at prostate cancer incidence among individuals, and it is said that 80% of 80-plus-year-old men had evidence of prostate cancer at time of autopsy with no clinical evidence of
the CFAC subcommittee that studied alternate financing options for sewer expansion projects made its long-awaited report to the town council on Thursday, March 11th. Hours before that meeting, we spoke with Town Council President Fred Chirag, who gave us his take on some of the subcommittee's recommendations, beginning with finding state and federal funds to help pay for the costly program. That our representatives can be convinced somewhere down the road, as you just mentioned, the economic stimulus factor, do you think that they can be convinced of that, and that we might see a substantial amount of money sometime down the road?
You know, I don't have high hopes for the state and federal government. But I would think that if the state and federal government were truly looking to something of value to invest in, or to help us invest in, it truly is. I mean, across this state, across the country, but across the state and primarily all over Cape Cod, we need to have the funding to get this done. This isn't something that we're just doing to be pretty. This is something that affects the health and safety of our citizens every single day, and protects our water every single day. It's the most important thing we can do. And putting the money there is probably the best place for economic stimulus that the feds or the state could give us.
Understood. And I mean, obviously, that's going to require some work and some lobbying, and that's a long process that we really haven't seen the beginning of yet, I don't think. Now, taking another component of their suggestions, the broad-based utility fee or utility tax, whatever you want to call it, the recently done citizens survey here in the town of Barnstable indicated that more than half of the people who took that survey were willing to pay such a tax if it were proposed. And I think that, you know, this kind of gets to the heart of the idea of why I think this study was taken on in the first place, the idea of betterments and people really not liking that idea, and the subcommittee themselves say they don't like that idea. This sort of speaks to that town-wide shared burden thing that everybody's been talking about all along, right?
Well, absolutely, and it goes beyond that. I think we've actually heard, you know, county-wide sharing, and how do we do that? You know, we have the pressing problem that is right in front of our face, and then we have the long-term problem and solution. And I think that it's going to be a hybrid of a number of different things that come together I truly believe we can get through this and do it correctly and do it fairly. And you're right. The only way to have that happen is that the cost is shared by everybody: business, the commercial base, and the residential base. So in tourists and everybody else, everybody's got to pitch in.
Later on our Thursday show, we spoke with Town Clerk Linda Hutchenreiter about efforts to digitize and preserve the town's centuries-old records. If that sounds boring to you, take a look at the historic treasure that Linda shares with us here.
We have one wonderful book, and that has been redone, and it is the Rebellion record.
Yeah, and actually you sent us some photographs of that. You sent us some of your digital scannings. Sarah was showing it earlier. We're putting it up on the screen again right now. Talk to us about this thing. I had a chance to look a little bit at it yesterday. It's just amazing.
Well, the Northerners called the Civil War the Great Rebellion. And what happened was in most of the towns, the early towns, they actually kept rosters of all of the gentlemen who fought in that war. And it has not only the date they entered and where they entered from, it also lists all of the battles they were involved with, and then where they exited the army or whatever it was at that time. And then, if the person died, many times there's a drawing, and the drawing would be of a gravestone.
That's what we see.
Have a flag.
We're looking at that right now, yes.
And it's absolutely beautiful. The handwriting is beautiful. The drawings are beautiful. When I sent this document up to Browns River in Vermont to be done, because they can also scan and send the information to General Code that does our laser feast. They had a woman who had worked there for 28 years. Now, she has seen books from all over New England. She said she had never, ever seen a book like that.
Finally, on Friday, March 12th, Harbor Master Dan Horn joined us to share some of the details of Thursday's Barnstable Harbor Stakeholders Meeting, where those who use the harbor for work and pleasure were updated on what portions of the harbor will be impacted as the bulkhead is reconstructed.
What we've learned from the contractor is the east side and the south end of the town marina will be off limits.
Okay.
It will be blocked off. There will be no access. There will be no access to the south end. Throughway access road. Again, it will all be blocked off. We're told right now through the duration of the project, which is 270 days, which is going to bring us sometime. My guess is down to the end of November.
Yeah, I was going to say through the summer season for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
And, so what that means to at least the slip holders, which was, I was giving an update on the operational side of the project and how it might affect slip holders. What that means is that all those slip holders on the east side, those slips are just not going to be available.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves us the west side. We have 22 slips, and what our plan from at this point is to offer renewal contracts to those already in those slips. We have four openings, and what we plan on doing is filling those openings by the commercial charter fishing fleet.
Okay.
So they would be first. If there's, for some reason, other vacancies, we would next fill it with other commercial interests, other existing slip holders that may be shell fishermen or aquaculture folks.
Yes.
And lastly, and I don't think we'll get that far, but if there were still any vacancies, we would open it up through a lottery.
If you'd like to see these complete interviews, they're just a click away. Visit the town's website at town.barnstable.ma.us and click on the Barnstable This Morning archives link. Well, that's all the time we have for now. Everybody have a great weekend. I'm Nick Cortez, and we'll see you next time on Barnstable Today.